public, and anyone from the public was able to see them. And so we've got that going now. The last thing I need to do is read through our hearing script. Basically just covers the procedure. And then we'll jump right into the presentation of the applicant's case. So this is the September 29th, 2021 session of the zoning hearing examiner docket. My name is David Sturkey. I'm the zoning hearing examiner for the city of Cincinnati, and I'll preside over this hearing. The case before us today is case number ZH20210130. The purpose of this hearing is to allow applicants and opposing parties to testify and to offer and refute evidence and testimony. This hearing will follow the rules found in the zoning code and the supplemental rules of the zoning hearing examiner. All testimony and evidence that an applicant or any opposing party wishes to offer must be presented at this hearing. The hearing will proceed as follows. The applicant's attorney, or the applicant's agent will first present the applicant's case. If there were anyone here from the public, they would then have an opportunity to speak after the applicant had presented its case. In the event that anyone testified or offered argument in opposition to this application, the applicant would have an opportunity to rebut that testimony and or argument that's been offered in opposition. And then finally, the applicant will have an opportunity to make any closing statements. So for our purposes here today, if it's just us, or even if Jeff is here, I'll give you guys an opportunity to tell me about the project, why you think the variance is appropriate, necessary, et cetera. If I have any questions, I'll ask you guys after that. If Jeff comes, I'll give him an opportunity to make any statements, and then give you guys an opportunity to make any closing statements, and that'll be it. After all presentations have been made, I will close the hearing. Decisions may be expected within 2 weeks. I may limit or exclude testimony that I deem irrelevant or outside the scope of the application being considered. I may interrupt any speaker to ask questions or to make any comments. I may also refuse to consider hearsay testimony or documents. That's generally evidence you want to introduce that consists of statements made by someone who's not present at the hearing. In the event, so we've got a phone number here, great. In the event of any technical difficulties or unforeseen circumstances, as we've seen already, we'll do our best to troubleshoot any tech issues on the fly, but to the extent there's something we can't fix, I may continue or postpone this hearing at my discretion. Okay, I think that's it. Jeff, are you with us?
Yes.
Hey, great, we got it.
I'm not sure what has happened. I join Zoom meetings all the time, but obviously Kevin has made me aware that possibly some updates have happened. So my computer's asking me for all sorts of information. And I tried getting on 10 minutes early, and I said, oh, maybe the host isn't on. That's why it won't let me in. Well, long story short, I still can't get in, guys, but I was able to call in. So I apologize. I was hoping I wasn't the first on the list, but it sounds like I am. So
yeah.
No, you're not. And apologize for the extra hoops you have to jump through there. I'm not quite sure why that's happening, but it's something that we're working on. So I'm glad you could join us. Jeff, could you give me your last name?
Fey, F-E-Y.
Okay. All right, yeah, Jeff, we were just going through sort of the procedural script about how the hearing will be run. Essentially, I'm just going to give you guys the time to tell me about the project. I'm going to ask you questions and give you guys a chance to make any final statements. So we're just about to get started. I need to swear everyone in. If you plan on providing any testimony, asking any questions, doing anything other than just strictly observing, then you need to be sworn in. So if that is you, if you could raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you shall give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
I do.
Okay. And Jeff, will you be testifying? Okay, great. All right, so who's going to take the lead here on the presentation of the project?
Jeff, probably I will. I'll run everyone through the project, and then maybe when I'm finished, Jeff, maybe you can describe some of the changes and the reasons that since you're the portfolio manager, since maybe you can run through some of the things that you've done with the bank and just maybe trying to justify, from your perspective, what we're doing.
Sounds good, Kevin. Thank you.
No problem.
Floor is yours, Kevin.
All right. So I think everyone has the plans that we've submitted, David. So essentially, we've labeled them A and B. The existing sign, I'll call that the northwest facing elevation, labeled A, has the current sign, which is 60.36 square feet. The concern and the challenge with this site is that sign gets almost zero visibility based on the car wash obstruction and some other things there. So we're really not quite sure why the sign was put there originally or what the justification was for putting it on that side of the building. So in detailed discussions with Mr. Fay and some site visits, we determined that the best elevation for that particular sign or for a particular sign not necessarily would even be the front due to the size constraints of the fascia, but would be the B location, which is on the city gear side. So as you're on Seymour, you can see that sign on that elevation. So what we want to do is take the existing sign down and move it over to the B side of the building. And while we're doing that, we will not be putting the horizons, which are the swooshes on the left and right of the logo. We will not be reinstalling the swooshes, which kind of gets the sign closer to an updated brand standard as Fifth Third's going through some brand standard updates with signage. So that is our goal. Overall square footage technically won't change if you were just to draw a big square around that, which is the process, but those horizons will be removed. Along with the application, I don't think it requires a variance, but with our signage changes at the site, we would also be applying for a permit for a face change on the pole sign. And again, that would bring the faces into current brand standards for Fifth Third Bank.
Gotcha. Okay, I'm trying to bring up the drawings here. I don't know. I don't think Walt uploaded all of them. Could you instead of referencing the letters, could you just tell me sort of directionally? Okay, that helps too. I mean, that's fine.
So if you can see that.
Yeah. So Seymour is
on the
sort of
northwest
southwest
side. Yeah, so we're going to swap it from A to B.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah, both elevations are the same size, so it fits just fine. It would look the same. So that wouldn't change at all. And I think in Liz's discussions with you, David, I think the bank had at some point received a variance, I guess, because the sign isn't on the street facing elevation, I think was the explanation you gave Liz.
You mean the reason why it needed the variance?
Well, no, yeah, the reason why the sign is on the side, yeah, the reason it needed a variance to be moved was because the sign isn't on the street facing elevation today. And the challenge with that is the street facing elevation is tiny. It's, you could probably only fit the logo, if that, on the street facing elevation. That face is just really small.
Got it.
Walt, he had stated that the wall sign was not allowed on the side of the building without a street frontage, so that's why that variance had to be put on there for the original spot that it's on now.
Gotcha. Okay, so was there a variance granted for this already for the B side?
Whoever it is that originally had done that, they must have applied for that because we didn't do that.
Is that what Walt said?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, we assumed that was the case since it's not allowed without a variance because it doesn't have a street facing frontage.
Gotcha. So how many frontages will have wall signage?
Just one.
If this is approved, just the A
just
side.
one. Yeah. Well, just the B side. Just the B side if it's approved.
Okay.
Yeah, the Seymour elevation will not have a sign as it is today. It doesn't have a sign today, and then we'll take the A side and move it to B. So there'll still only be one elevation that has signage.
Got it. Okay. And there's nothing on the rear side at all facing the parking lot?
No, sir.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else you'd like to tell me, you or Liz?
Liz?
Good.
No, I think that's pretty much the case. Like I said, we're just going to move it over the other side. We're not adding any square footage, doing any other modifications or additions. So fairly straightforward.
Okay. Jeff, anything you'd like to add?
Yeah, I mean, Dave, just real quick, just to kind of summarize what Kevin said. Yes, that's exactly what's happening. This came up several months ago when I had asked Kevin to take a look at the signage. You can't, when I noticed, and I never noticed this before, but last time I was out there, I was driving down Seymour Avenue and I just couldn't even see any signage. And I come to find out that the signage that we have is just on that one side of the building. We'll call it, I think Kevin calls it the A side. It's, a small building sign, and it's blocked by the car wash. And it really does absolutely no good to bring in customers at all. If we move it to the B side, we will be able to see it from the road then. So the only thing that I'm asking to do is I would love to be able to move the sign over to the side that's visible. And, I've invested a lot of money in this branch, in this building, in this area, over this year. I mean, I've spent over $80,000 upgrading this branch. And, we're trying to get, people to come in and be able to see it. And quite frankly, you can't even tell it's a Fifth Third Bank because there's no signage on the front of the building. So if I didn't know where it was, I would drive right past it. Didn't even know it's a Fifth Third Bank. So just from my standpoint, I think Kevin named it. All we're looking to do is move the building sign from the left side of the building to the right side of the building for visibility. We're not changing anything. And, I'm currently investing money into this branch, over the past 2 years, and I've spent $80,000 this year already on it. So we're hoping to, be able to, upgrade this facility and keep upgrading it, to make it a nice staple in the neighborhood.
Okay. Let's see. I think that's all the questions I have. It's still under the total square footage that's allowed for the building. Is that right?
Yeah, it should be.
Didn't change anything.
Yeah, we didn't add or change any square footage. So
If we do anything, Kevin, we would be reducing it, right?
yeah, I mean, ever so slightly. Well, the way it's measured, signs are measured drawing a box around the entire sign. So you lose a couple inches on the left and right of that tip of the horizon, but essentially it does reduce slightly, but it's marginal.
Okay.
Okay. And let's see, this is in an otherwise pretty commercial area, right? This intersection.
Yeah, you've got the car wash there that sits adjacent to the left. You've got McDonald's sits almost behind it. There's another plaza directly behind it. And then there's the City Gear retail shopping center next to the building as well. So yeah, I would call it very commercial. And then just one thing I just thought about, gentlemen, when Jeff and I had done our surveys of the site, and when he talks about visibility, the challenge coming, whether you call it northbound or westbound on Seymour, the challenge is there's no sign on the front elevation. And then you would think, well, okay, but then you can see the pylon sign. Well, you can't for most of, until you get past the driveway. That's the only opportunity you can see the pylon, because there's trees along the road and they're maturing nicely. So as you're driving up Seymour, the trees block the sign. So the opportunity presents itself to put the sign on the side of the building so that there's no tree blocking it and you can see the building and safely make that egress into the site without, having to apply brakes and do a crazy Ivan to get in there. So our concern is just making sure we get someone who's looking for the branch that can get in there safely. So I wanted to bring that up about the trees.
Okay. All right. I think that's all the questions I have. Anything else you'd like to tell me? Anyone would like to tell me either in closing or otherwise before we wrap it up?
I'm good.
Okay,
I'm good.
Jeff. Yeah. So guys, I think what you're saying makes a lot of sense. I'm looking at the drawings. I'm looking at the street view right now. I can see how that pylon sign would be hard to see with that tree. And I think it makes a lot of sense on this road and with this particular commercial development to have that signage there. I don't think it's uncharacteristic of other signage I see in the area. So I'm based on the testimony here today, I'm going to go ahead and grant this, approve this. What I have to do for all of these hearings is do a written decision that sort of outlines some of the facts and goes through the law a little bit. So that's usually what takes me the longest with some of these, particularly when I know that I'm going to approve them ahead of time. So that's as I said at the beginning, that's usually about 2 weeks. I'll do everything I can to try and get that to you before that. But 2 weeks based on my current queue and workload is about right. I know that you can begin the application process for the permits. If you haven't already, you can start that now, which could cut down on some of the wait time after you do get my decision. Once I finish the decision, I put it into a PDF, I email it to everyone who's in the meeting here today. As soon as you have that, you can start working with Walt, our plans examiner, to get the necessary permitting. But I'm pretty sure that you can start that application process right away.
Okay.
Let's see. If you have any questions or would like an update on the status of the decision, you can email me directly. Hopefully you guys have my email, but it's actually
It's on your screen. Yeah.
Yeah. So feel free to, if you have any questions that come up, you can email myself or Walter Mueller, and we'll be happy to answer anything. And again, if you just want to see where I'm at with the decision or how much longer, feel free to reach out, and I'm happy to respond and let you guys know.
Okay.
Any questions right now?
No, I just want to say thank you. I appreciate it.
Sure. No problem. I want to thank you guys for your time, your testimony. Thanks for your patience here this morning with the tech. Again, if anything comes up, just give me a call. Liz, did you have something?
So I've already applied everything, and then Walter's the one that told me that it needed to go through variance. So I'll just follow up with him then and make sure that he pushes through, or does he need to check in with you first?
He needs to get my written decision first before
Okay.
he can.
We'll have to get that before you can issue.
Yeah, so he
Okay.
can just then send everything to you once your portion's done. So we wouldn't have to actually send anything else in.
I don't know. It might be a good idea to touch base with Walter, let him know that we
Okay.
had this hearing, let him know that I said that I was going to approve it and that you're just waiting on my decision. And then ask
Okay.
him if there's anything else you can do in the meantime before that comes through to help
Okay.
expedite the process.
Okay.
All right.
All right. Appreciate your help.